So, fanboys, where does Hal Jordan live?
I know the answer, but I feel like he's looking for something specific.
Coast City.
No, in a greenhouse. The greatest DC comic show on YouTube is back. Welcome to Fanboys Live the Retro Review. Wearing Sinestro Yellow on my channel this evening, I'm Ryan Magic Lasso, joined by fellow fanboys. We have Tony Fett. Hello, Tony.
Hello.
And we have Comic Fu 2814. Hello, Fu.
How's it going?
Missing is Tim the Comic Collector.
Yeah.
Links to everybody's YouTube channel is in the description for this video. So if you're not subbed to them, please make sure to do so when our live show wraps up. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Doing pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's say hello to some folks that have joined us in the chat for the live. And if you're joining us on the rewind, it's great to have you watching too. First up is Mr. G, the comic book G Spot. Hope you're doing well and taking care. I live in the same state as Mr. G, and I can just say that I have been cold lately. So if he's been as cold as I've been, I hope he's found a nice fire to warm up to, among other things. Hello to John's Comics with Kids, who's given a big old yay, and we'll give you a big old yay back, John, because today John hit 1,700 subscribers to his YouTube channel. That's pretty awesome.
Cheers to another 1,700, John.
Yeah, it's not like 14,000 like other people on the panel have on their channel, but 1,700 is pretty darn good.
I'll give you a hint. He ain't talking about me.
It's up to 14 now, huh? Wow.
I Collect a Lot is here. What is up? Thanks for joining us. Christy is here. Hey, Christy, how you doing? Looking forward to you getting my Wonder Woman book signed for me at Baltimore Comic Con. We laugh, but it's going to happen.
It's going to
happen. Paul S. is here. Happy Sunday to you as well. Appreciate you joining. We have some hearts for Squatchy or a heart for Green Lantern or heart for both from Jedi Farce.
I think he's saying Squatchy loves Green Lantern.
Oh, Squatchy loves Green. I don't know about that.
Oh, that's true.
Okay. And a slow crawl. Well, you got there. You're still over half, well over half of double me. So Super Rest 9000. Hey, how are you doing? Good to see you too. Thanks everyone for joining me. It is going to happen for sure. And it's Fanboys Live the Retro Review. We'll say hi to some other folks as they join us tonight. And in a bit, we'll get to the Retro Review portion, which is a part 2 continued from last week's, which was on Comic Fu 2814's channel and was his pick. But first, DC Comics news. What's in the news?
All right. I guess this is my time to shine, huh? Oh, man. So for those of you who care about that kind of thing, they released the Black Adam theme song for his movie. Didn't really care for it. It wasn't when I get like, maybe it's just Hans Zimmer. Whatever Hans Zimmer puts down, like it instantly turns your ears like, into heaven. Like he's just a phenomenal composer. I didn't get the sense with this, even though he had nothing to do with the soundtrack, and it shows. His theme song is kind of like uplifting. it feels like really motivational, you know what I mean? Not necessarily like menacing and like I feel like Lex Luthor had a more menacing song in Batman v Superman than Black Adam does. So
I think we would hit a copyright strike if
we'd be shut down in a second. But it is on YouTube. Water Tower Music has put it out officially on YouTube. You can go to their YouTube channel, listen to it. It's not good, in my opinion. I don't.
Well, we're gonna hear this every time he like comes onto screen.
Yeah, right. So check that out if you're into that. News out of the Blue Beetle front. DC is trending this. I don't even know how you describe it, but yeah, right. More ominous. I completely agree, but this seems like fitting for like an overall Justice League. You know what I mean? Like not tied to one character, kind of like motivational, but not like a bad guy or even an anti-hero. Heck, the Joker had a more menacing theme than he did. Well, whatever. Anyway, Blue Beetle. It sounds like Ben Affleck's Batman is going to be the cameo in that movie. So it seems like all the other movies coming out have some kind of established character. Shazam has Wonder Woman, Black Adam has Superman, and Blue Beetle's going to get Batman. From what I understand, Blue Beetle's going to come across this tech, or Jaime Reyes is going to come across this tech. He's not going to know what to do, but he's going to cross paths with, I don't know if it's Batman or just Bruce Wayne through Wayne tech. I mean, who knows? So that's pretty cool. I could see that. That makes sense to me. Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill have been almost confirmed for the Flash movie, considering that movie right now is doing a ton of reshoots, which is good.
Okay, this prompts a question though. The test screenings supposedly are through the roof, but if you're messing with a movie whose test screenings are through the roof, isn't that going to ruin the movie?
Probably. And I think DC doesn't really have a choice in the matter. Like, they have to drop Ezra Miller. They don't, you know what I mean? So they got to redo the movie in order to make that make sense cinematically. So
maybe
that's not entirely
the real
confusing.
Barry Allen in the multiverse, and he takes Ezra's place,
or maybe some kind of Wally West or something. Who knows? Or maybe they'll just pull Grant Gustin from the TV verse. It'll never happen, but it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of fun. Those are the big ones.
Flash fans, they're probably gonna get their character screwed up.
Let's give Ezra Miller. With the amount of time he's facing, we're not talking jail time. We're talking prison. He's looking at prison time. Not to say that people can't come out of prison reformed, because didn't RDJ go to prison for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. So
is Ezra actually brought up on charges now?
He's being formally charged.
Okay.
He's just got infinite money, so he can hire all these good lawyers to keep delaying, probably until the Flash movie debuts, or after it debuts. I mean, so he can do the press release. I don't know. Who knows? This is just speculation. They might bring him back. I don't know. I don't see that happening, to be honest with you. I think that's why they're doing major reshoots, because they don't really have a choice.
Interesting scenario to be Ezra Miller if you're doing reshoots that are taking you out of the universe. They're taking you out, but you have to do it because
maybe that was the sit down that they had. Like, look, we're gonna let you out of this gracefully, but you got to work with us.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe the opposite happened. Like, we're gonna keep you, but you so much as jaywalk.
or maybe it's one of those, you did so wrong, we're going to punish Batgirl.
Yeah, right.
Flash screwed up so bad, Batgirl got canceled.
Way to go, Ezra.
Yeah, right. But what do you guys think? If you had to place a bet, a $20 bet, you say is he gone or does he stay? Gone.
What
do you think, Comic Fu?
I think he's gone.
You think he's gone?
I think they're probably regretting not having gotten rid of him sooner.
Well, they couldn't really. You know what I mean? They were in the middle of filming the Flash movie.
Well, here they are now doing reshoots. So
yeah. Hello,
that's
Gore.
true.
Thanks for joining us, Gore. Let's answer Paul's question real quick before we go on. So, what's the difference between a reprint and a facsimile? And do some go up in price and the others don't? I'll initially start out and say a facsimile should be 100%, with the exception of the cover price and a barcode. The rest of the book should be the same, meaning you're getting the same interior advertisements.
Yes.
Everything is a duplication of what was in the original release.
Yep.
And a reprint could be just the story is being reprinted, but you're not getting the original advertisements. You're not getting a letter column. You're not getting, in some cases, with a reprint, like if there were 2 stories in an issue, they might just reprint the first story or the second story or whatever it is, and you're not getting the full book.
Right.
Is there
Or
anything you
it's
guys
like a
wanna add in?
second printing or a third printing. In
Mhm.
those cases, though, again, it has a different in the indicia, it says which printing it is.
Yep.
So the facsimile is going to, like Lasso said, it's a exact duplicate of the original minus the UPC and the
Price.
cover price.
Well, let's talk about the real differences. Which one can you put an acetate cover on?
Well, and it also talks about the age of it too, right?
Yeah.
So like a second printing generally came out like the month following the first printing, right? Whereas the facsimile is generally coming out decades later. It's a huge difference.
One thing I never
different.
Yeah, you're right. The paper's huge. I mean, back in the early 90s, the paper was different from what it is now.
Yeah.
But one thing I never understood is like, why do they do like third or fourth prints or even second prints for that matter? Just do a first print and be done with it.
Because they didn't order enough.
Exactly.
And it became popular, and so people that they could sell more.
Yeah, it's potential money that's sitting there that could be made. So it's going to happen.
Yeah, but I see it as like, okay, we released this book, it sold out like immediately. The book was awesome. Yeah, you can't necessarily get your hands on one, but doesn't that generate some hype for the next one?
No,
it's really good. Let me keep buying it.
Complete the story.
No,
True, you're right.
Because they go, well, we sold out of everything we printed on that issue, and we still could sell more if we had more, so make more because that's money.
Yeah,
but I wonder how many. Like, what's the market on second prints? Is it?
Yeah,
I would imagine it's probably not.
I mean, because Death of Superman has 4 prints.
Yeah,
so it had enough demand that people kept buying it.
Some of the higher printings can actually end up being worth more money because they don't print as many of the new printings.
I know the Hulk has got some like valuable third prints. Get a chance to get on the story. Yeah, in the age of the internet, you know what I mean? You can find the story online. Back before the internet, you're absolutely right. If you didn't have the story, you were just, up a creek essentially.
Well, and they do it today. They'll put a different cover on it, so it's almost like it's a variant. They treat it kind of like that. But again,
that's true. I forgot.
They're printing a lot less than they were previously, right? So they're then needing to do more and more of these printings for these books that take off. I'm thinking of like the Immortal Hulk. When that first came out, there were so many reprints of each issue, but on each one it was a different cover. And then Marvel started doing that thing where if like issue 5 was the first appearance of this character, on the 4th reprint of issue 4 they would suddenly come out with him on the cover, and it was like, oh, now that's the first cover appearance. And it's like, well, is it though? And
yeah. Talk about confusing. I think maybe DC, I mean, we talk about this all day, but maybe if they didn't have 50 variants for an obscure issue that makes no difference, even if it has a B cover, they could cut down some costs there and focus some of that money somewhere
I think
else.
it can be fun when it happens once in a while.
Oh, absolutely.
But when it's all the time, it's just like, all right, you win.
And then you get like, then you get issues like the new Champions of Shazam, which is the Mary Marvel solo issue, only got like 3 covers.
Yeah.
And they weren't even that, obscure. I mean, you can go to shop and get all 3 covers.
Yeah.
But then you have some issues like number 15 of, Justice Society, 50 variant covers for, and it's not even a first appearance or anything.
What is the purpose of collecting all of those? Unless you're like a completionist and that's your character, which I completely get. Other than that type of collector, which I don't think there's that many, especially for like Mary Shazam, right? Like, what is the purpose for somebody wanting to get all those covers? And then in the future, what's going to happen to the value? Because I mean, let's face it, most people are going to care about the A, right?
To a point. I mean, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. If it comes like a character, like we all have our characters. Like it doesn't matter if there's 50 covers. Like I'm getting all 50 covers. Looking at you, Mr. Lasso, you bought all 100 and some covers for that issue, and that's extreme. Hats off to you. I wish they would do that for some of the characters that I hold near to.
Oh, I never wanted to do that.
There are plenty of Harley covers out there. What are you talking about?
No, don't be starting that rumor.
Yeah, like incidentally, you mentioned the variants, and I don't mean to get into a sidetrack on this, but like the Wonder Woman issue that's coming out this month is having a 1 in 50 ratio variant. Why? It's not an anniversary issue. She hasn't had a 1 in 50 in actually a long time in her own title. Why are we doing it now? I don't.
Is it
and the cover isn't all that great either.
Oh.
Actually, Wonder Woman's not even on the cover. It's Cheetah.
Is it like an anniversary of Cheetah or something?
No.
See, it's just really weird because they have Black Adam coming up, and they had a Black Adam solo series happening right now, and they have the Black Adam comic tie-ins that give a little more backstory. Those are only A and B covers. Here's a big marketing opportunity, and it's only an A and B cover.
And I do want to add in too, before I forget and before we get back on topic, that with facsimiles, this week DC is releasing another facsimile. It will be 1939's Superman #1. Now they just did Action Comics #1 a few weeks ago. Now it's Superman #1. That is their facsimile that is dropping on Tuesday. Yep, it's that one.
Oh yeah. Look at that. He's got so many copies. He's got one on his wall.
I know. Yeah. And hello to Male 6565. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. No, he's right. He's right. It's all about the money. Yeah, I agree. It's all about the money. I just wish there was a little bit of consistency. It seems to be kind of scattered all over the place, and it doesn't make any sense. Like the wedding issue for Batman. Sure, do 50 covers. Fine, whatever. But like you said, you had that obscure comic that doesn't even make any sense. It's not an anniversary. It's not a first appearance. It's nothing, and it's getting a 1 in 50, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Any more DC Comics news?
Any comic book news? Comic shop guy?
I read that a little bit of a spoiler here if you're a Superman fan, but Lois and Superman are adopting 2 children in the upcoming Action comic books. That Superman is bringing 2 refugees from War World home with him on this Kal-El return. So they are going to be adoptive parents.
Nice.
Interesting. And he said it's in Action Comics?
Yeah, it's coming up in Action Comics. I think it's in the next issue.
Oh, by the way, if you have not read that War World series, that is a good series. Philip Kennedy Johnson is quickly becoming one of my favorite current writers for DC. He's a cool dude, and he does a really phenomenal job. I think, I've got somewhere in this giant stack of comics, I have the current issue of Superman War World I'm getting signed. But that is a very undervalued story. I highly recommend it. I'm sure it's online somewhere. So if you guys want to check it out before you purchase, it's worth it. And I remember a couple of years ago, or not a couple of years ago, it was this time last year, we talked about Superman. Something might be happening to him in a form of, I can't go and YouTube will shut me down, but you guys remember that conversation?
Yes,
okay, good.
I remember what you're talking about. Yes.
Not happening. Okay. They skipped right over it. Thank you, DC, for not doing it. They didn't do it.
Hello, Fanboy Prime.
Fanboy Prime. There you go. We got to have him on the show.
Also, speaking of something that's not happening now, you remember how Kevin Smith was attached to a live action DC project, Strange Adventures, I think it was?
Yes.
He has confirmed it is not happening. And he says it's the Discovery merger that pulled the plug on it. And he did share that one of his planned episodes that he was going to do was going to be about Bizarro kidnapping Perry White and Jimmy Olsen from the Daily Planet and taking them back to Bizarro World. And he was hoping to cast Nicolas Cage as Bizarro.
That'd be cool.
So,
that'd be cool.
But he has confirmed himself not happening.
Continuing piggybacking off of that, Zatanna and Madame Xanadu have officially been axed from the HBO Max thing.
You know, when I heard that Olivia Newton-John passed away, I thought Xanadu was in trouble.
So who knows? And we, for those of you who pay attention to DC movie news, now that Keanu Reeves is confirmed to be reprising his role as John Constantine, who knows? Maybe there's something in there where we can have Keanu Reeves in the DCEU, huh?
But Keanu Reeves is also going to be Berserker, which is the character he co-created.
Right. That's okay. That's not like in DC continuity. So, I mean, he's under contract for DC for whatever. I mean, he can go, I think I'm just guessing. I think he can go do whatever he wants. It just can't be like a franchise Marvel character. Like he can do like a movie, you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't want Chris Evans in a DC movie as something is happening in Marvel. So,
but he is, I mean, Berserker is a comic book based movie, even though it's not Marvel.
I don't think Warner Brothers would care as long as it's not a Marvel.
Right.
I mean, I'm guessing. I have no idea. To me, that makes sense. I wouldn't want my guy, you know, putting butts in seats for another competitor.
But you don't want Henry Cavill to be Captain Britain.
As cool as that would be, I admit that would be really cool. I would say no.
Okay.
I think that he would be a great cast, but I don't think I would.
Is he going to be?
I don't think so.
Rumored, but
I saw that.
It's one of the same things that we talk about, or I should say, I mention in pretty much every episode, and that is the rumor mill of this is happening, followed the next by an article that says it's definitely not happening.
Well,
Scott. Hi, Scott Hoarders High. Great to see you here.
D23 threw a lot of fuel onto that rumor mill, and someone, if you remember the photo somebody took, someone photoshopped a Henry Cavill as Dr. Doom.
Oh my gosh!
And it just spread faster than the coronavirus at a concert. Just woof! Everybody caught on and ran with it.
The value of Constantine's first appearance spiked, though.
Of course it did. Of course it did.
Aren't we all glad that we got our copy before that happened?
Yeah, I'm super happy that it's currently spiking in value. Let me just go get mine.
Yeah, we'll wait.
You guys be waiting a hot minute.
You can order it on eBay now, and I'll stay live until it's actually delivered.
That'd be cool. Like a full guy who'd take, you know, let's say give it like 5 days just to be safe. A 5-day stream of me coming down once a day. Like, hey, check the mail. It's not here, and then I'd leave.
Hi to the Art Chemist. It's awesome to see you here. Hope you're having a good weekend.
That's all I got for news.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for news too. Fu?
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay. So as we segue into the retro review, this is a continuation of last week's that we started on Comic Food 2814's channel, and it's Green Lantern Emerald Dawn. It's a 6-issue limited series, and we covered the first half of it last week, and now we're going to segue into issues 4, 5, and 6. And I'm going to take off with issue 4, which has this amazing cover. I think out of all of the covers for this series, this one is the best. In my personal opinion, it's the one that I thought was the coolest. So we start out with this splash, and you might remember we ended with a big old nuclear explosion. And here's Hal Jordan saying, "I'm alive?" Even he is shocked at the fact that he is alive. And as he tries to process this, he realizes that he survived this nuclear blast because of the ring. So the ring did some good after all. He's assuming that this yellow monster legion that he was battling right at the end has died as a result of this nuclear explosion. So he figures he needs to learn more about, because it was mentioned Green Lantern. So there's more than just one. So he asked the ring to take him to a Green Lantern. And the ring confirms now, and he says, yep, and you see in that final panel, there he goes. So here we have Legion, who's on the moon. He's ready to do battle with Green Lantern, where there's no chance of destruction or interference with human lives. And he sees Green Lantern flying up, and he's like, yes, finally. So obviously Legion has survived this nuclear explosion. And then he's a little confused when he sees Green Lantern taking off in the other direction. So he starts to follow him. So in the meanwhile, we see Hal kind of just taking all this in, that he's traveling unprotected in space. He's going through a meteor storm. And then he realizes right there at the bottom of this page that, oh my gosh, he's on another planet. And he's like, well, where are we? And as he goes to settle down on land, he's like, hello, what are you? Please tell me you don't bite. And this man says, bite? Joking like you, Abin. And he realizes it's not Abin, sir. He's like, oh, who are you? And he's like, well, I'm Abin, sir's replacement. He died. And he's like, oh, I hadn't heard that. And this is Tomari, and we're in his sector of space. So he's asking him what brought Hal there. And he says, well, listen, I kind of need someone to talk to. And he's like, well, we can do that while we're on patrols. Let's get going. So off they go. And Hal essentially is like, well, what on earth is this? And he's like, well, you're not on Earth, but essentially what it is kind of a version of grass. It gets out of hand whenever the blood rains dry up. So Hal's like, well, I know how to fix that. And he constructs a big old lawnmower. And that's not probably the smartest thing to do, as we realize that for each one blade that gets cut down, 2 more take its place. So it's kind of like Hydra over in the Marvel universe. Cut one head off, 2 grow in its place. So these two are having a conversation about this, and Hal's kind of saying, I'm not the right person for this job. I don't know why the ring picked me. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait, don't you hear the inner signals? We're needed. And then he's like, it's Legion. And he takes off with Hal following. And what they're going to head to is Oa. So he's preparing him for this warp that they're going to go through. And he kind of says, next time, maybe a little bit of advance warning. Then on the next page, we get another beautiful splash where Hal, once again, is like, oh, Lord, where are we? So look at that next page where he realizes that they're on Oa.
Can I just point out, why is everything on Oa yellow?
Yeah, exactly. That's an interesting point. So he sees there's other Green Lanterns there as they're walking around and flying through the city. He's kind of being introduced to some of them, and he's understanding about the Guardians. And as they're going to go to the book, because the book is going to bring them the knowledge that they need. And as they walk past, he notices this female Green Lantern who looks a little bit human and pretty good too. And he's thinking he wouldn't mind stirring the spaghetti sauce there, but he doesn't. And they go off to their place of destination, which is the book. And, they're told, you don't talk, you let the book talk. And the book will tell you what you need to know, regardless of what it's saying. So the book is talking, and it's giving essentially the origin of the species that Legion comes from in Sector 407. And it was talking about, now, Fu, am I pronouncing this correct? The Tashik?
Sure.
Okay. So they're talking about this world. They were this sentinel and highly technological species bound tightly together in hive societies. Well, all of that started leading to them wanting to conquer, not only conquering one another, but eventually they saw they were going to want to conquer, their world and then the universes surrounding it. So the Guardians, for seeing this, essentially just put a green, I don't know what you would call it. They protected the thing so they couldn't get out. They were kind of locked in by the Guardians in this green power. So that's what the book has told them. And Hal's like, well, wait, it really didn't say anything about the Legion that I thought. And he's reminded again, the book reveals what they are meant to know. So Hal is talking about, he's gotten a little grief there from this other Lantern about being a rookie. And he's kind of like, I am a rookie. And he's like, worse than a rookie, I'm a mistake. And he's reminded the ring doesn't make mistakes when it's choosing people. So as they're walking and Hal's talking, he's like, I killed my best friend. And he's like, you didn't do that. Legion killed your friend. But he's like, but if I hadn't been driving drunk, he would have been in the hospital. And he's like, there are a million ifs and on man's world and not one in his actions. That was then, this is now. You can atone. Because once you've been picked, you're essentially starting anew. What's happened in your life, you forget about from this moment on is what counts for you being a Green Lantern. So he's shown to his room and he's telling him, it's his friend's funeral, which is what we cut to. And here's Hal's brother saying he didn't come. I can't believe Hal didn't come. This is his best friend and he's not there. And Carol is there and she's upset. And as everyone goes to walk away, for a brief moment here, Hal's able to send a message to his brother Jack telling him what had happened, and we cut away to Carol, who is not realizing this is going on, and she's thinking about her relationship with Hal. As she comes back to talk to Jack, she almost sees a little bit of a green something, and she goes to question it, and of course they pull the classic, I don't know what you're talking about move, and so we're back to Hal here now, and they're like, well, did that help? And he's like, well, yeah, a little bit, thanks, Tomar. And, he's told that, we'll get ready because you're going to be trained. And then, all right, Poozer, up and at him. And we got Kilowog. Of course, Kilowog is known for training the Green Lanterns. And they start flying around the city, and Kilowog is, making laps, and he's throwing some threats against Hal. He's asking Hal, actually saying, you actually know how to fly pretty well. Why is that? And he's like, well, I used to be a pilot. That's why I have a little more grasp of my understanding of this. And so they're testing him, and Hal's been given some orders by Kilowog and threatened, if you don't do this, there's some reprimands to it. So just like a drill sergeant in the army. So, and Hal's pretty exhausted. By the time he gets back, he just kind of crawls into bed. Then all of a sudden, there's this major alarm, and they're like, what? And all the lanterns are flying out at full speed. It's an alarm that hasn't sounded in a millennium. And Hal's like, but what does it mean? And they're like, it's the impossible. Oa has been breached. And Hal's like, breached? By what? Oh. And there is Legion. Save your lives, Green Lanterns. Save our precious time. Just bring us the Guardians. Let's do what must be done. So the Guardian has arrived on Oa. And that's the end of issue 4.
I gotta say, one of the jokes that they tried to land didn't age well. They're talking about cutting the grass, and he's like, I grew up in California. Like, our grass grows. And I was just like, oh, no, it doesn't, Hal Jordan. The grass doesn't grow in California anymore.
Yeehaw to Michael Menares, who's here for the Fanboys Live and the Retro Review.
Michael.
All right. So issue number 5. We start off with a group of the Green Lanterns, some of the most famous. We've got Sinestro, Salic, Tomar Ray, Jordan, Kilowog, and we even got the broccoli head guy. I don't know his name offhand.
That's Brock A. Lee.
Brock A. Lee, yeah. I think it's actually like mixed something or other. But anyway, they're facing off with this yellow Legion here, who stands atop the power battery. And they all go flying into the, I guess, into Oa. They're battling back and forth with Legion. And he's killing Green Lanterns. Like, you see rings flying off everywhere. So he's definitely effective, but his entire time he is just simply looking for the Guardians. So we get this scene here with a bunch of the Green Lanterns, the group I mentioned before. They're all kind of, even though they can't hit him because he's yellow, they're using the ground of Oa to kind of shape around and protect the area where the Guardians are located. They see the rings coming in. They realize their fellow Green Lanterns are falling around them as they're locked in this shield of Earth. And And that's when, of course, though, Legion breaks through. Hal tries scooping up the earth and attacking him that way, but nothing's holding this guy. They even try to, with their combined rings, they try to create this shield and create this pressure around the rocks, which, would create this super strong metal. It's nearly unbreakable, they say. And very quickly, though, it's shown that, it's quite breakable by this Legion character. So he breaks out of it. Kilowog shows up, though, and gives the Lanterns a little bit of time to get to the Guardians, and holds off Legion for a bit. They're standing there in front of the door to the Guardians, and Legion's like, "What are you standing in front of that door for?" And he's like, "Let me guess, the Guardians are behind there." So he goes busting through the door. He finds the Guardians in like this kind of sleeping chamber state, like deep space travel or something, right? And he starts saying, "Oh, this is great. You're not even going to see it coming." And then one of the machines sends out all of these wires, and it kind of ties up Legion. The Guardian wakes up. All of the Guardians wake up, I should say. The Green Lanterns show up, and that's when Hal Jordan gets it in his head that he's going to cut the wires that are currently holding Legion tied up. And everybody's like, "What are you doing, Hal?" The Guardians are yelling at him because he's not following orders. Classic Hal. And this is, of course, his first meeting with the Guardians here. But he takes the wires and he flies up into the atmosphere, and he's like, "Aha, I did it. See, I told you my plan would work." And he's like, "Yeah, but I didn't think about what to do from here." So he sees these mud pits, and he decides, he's going to throw Legion into the mud pit. Then he won't be yellow. And now Hal Jordan's ring attacks can begin to work on him. And he proceeds to create light constructs. Let's see, it looks like we got a fist on a spring. We've got a steamroller, a baseball bat, a giant shoe stepping on him, and some kind of jackhammer, I think. So he's really punishing Legion right now, covered in mud. And at this point, Legion realizes he's been defeated. And so he tries to play on Hal Jordan's emotions a bit and says, "Look, the Guardians entrapped my species. We are meant to spread. We need to go from planet to planet to survive. It's just how our species is. The Guardians came along, decided we only get one planet, and they shielded us in. And it took us all these millennia. We couldn't reproduce anymore. They basically killed us off. So the real enemy is the Guardians. And what they did to compensate is they effectively, if I'm understanding it correctly, they basically took their collective consciousness and put it into this kind of electronic awareness, I guess, or goo of some kind, as we'll see. And they trapped it all in this robotic body. It's yellow, of course, and they used it to shoot out of the green containment bubble around their planet, with one sole purpose: to come and make the Guardians pay for basically destroying their species as they see it. So Hal Jordan's like, "Yeah, well, that's great. And I might have listened to you, except, oh yeah, you killed my friend." And Legion's like, "Yeah, well, things happen. So I guess you'll have to kill us then." So that's what Hal Jordan does. He proceeds to fight him. The one thing I didn't forget to mention, though, is Hal got a little taste in a panel or two of what happens if he starts to abuse the power of his ring. He was enjoying the beating he was giving a little too much. And the ring kind of shut him off for a second. Was like, whoa, 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 you're going beyond the purpose of the ring to provide justice, right? So I did forget to mention that. But at this point, the ring's like, "Yeah, you got to stop this thing." So Hal disassembles the suit that this thing's wearing, and out becomes this like gelatinous goo. It's like a giant amoeba, I guess, that just continues to grow and grow and grow. And maybe this is why the Guardians actually contained this species after all, because very quickly it becomes a problem for all of the Green Lanterns that show up. We got Kilowog, Tomar, we've got them all. Again, it's killing some of them, just swallowing them up. Hal goes to go rushing in, and it's actually Sinestro, who's still a Green Lantern at this point, catches Hal and is like, dude, you can't just go rushing in like that. You got to have a plan. So Kilowog calls for the Lanterns to retreat back to the Guardians. And they're there. They're like, what do we do? And the Guardian, this thing is just growing at an unprecedented rate. It's like taking over all of Oa, this giant amoeba. And that's where we leave off on to episode or issue number 6.
Yes, issue 6, the finale to this story. This is makes a lot more sense now that I got to see how 4 and 5 were. I didn't understand who the villain was. I mean, I knew who it was, but I didn't know where they come from. But this is a pretty awesome cover here.
Yeah, so this cover was actually homaged for Deceased Dead Planet, I think it was.
Yes, you're right, it was.
It was like a horror-ish type cover, but it was
one of the lanterns I couldn't quite figure out was this lady here on the left, right above the logo. Who is that? I don't think I've ever seen her before. Or maybe it's just a character they just made for the cover.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I couldn't name most of them, to be honest.
I don't see any Sodom Yat. I don't see any Sodom Yat. Or Sodom Yat.
May not have been around yet.
Yeah, very possible. I thought he came from one of these stories. Maybe it's Emerald Dawn too. I'm not sure. I forget. Yeah. Anyway, so this episode is just called The Dawn. I gotta say, the art in these stories is amazing. So I'll leave it at that. So Hal Jordan is starting to panic. Nothing's working. Their attacks are failing. They don't know what to do. Everybody's in kind of disarray or trying to be a cowboy without really coordinating anything. But then they did try to decide they were going to make this big like wall thing to try to keep this thing from getting anywhere near the Guardians. And it works for like a second and not well. So Hal decided, let me just make essentially a big spatula, scoop this thing, and try to take it away. And that kind of worked. When they lifted it up, they saw like these little tentacle things that were like rooting into the ground. So they cut those, but same kind of thing. It didn't really work that well. And the Guardians are watching from a distance saying, hey, listen, none of this stuff is working. What do we do? What's our plan going forward? What are we going to do when Oa fails? It says we must forsake this planet and preserve ourselves. They're getting ready to bounce.
Well, God, I love those Guardians.
Yeah, right? These guys are ready to just leave the core.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So
nice while it lasted.
Yeah, right? Green Lanterns are fun. So they issue the order, full-on retreat, abandon the planet. And Hal's like, yeah, no thanks. I'm not going to do that. I'm Hal Jordan. I'm from Earth. And I'm an American. And we don't know that. We don't know what it is to retreat. So he gets this idea. I don't even know why he came up with this idea. He's like, let me run straight for the battery, head-on collision with the battery. And when he comes out, he's like the Megazord version of Hal Jordan. He's supercharged Green Lantern. And he just starts twirling around this like in a tornado type thing to get this amoeba thing off the ground. And it works. It sucks it right off the planet, roots and everything, on into space, where it proceeds to no longer be in existence, except the lanterns don't really kill. So they find this way to like contain it in space, and they're going to take it back to the planet where it came from. They go back down to Oa, And Hal Jordan's like, whoa, my gosh, like, I can't believe I just did that. Like, what happened? I kind of forgot what was going on. I was like really like a Green Lantern for a moment. I let the ring do all the fighting essentially. And he asked the Guardians what happened, and one of the Guardians like, "Well, we were hoping you could fill us in on that. Like, what just happened? We all saw it." yes, Michael. That song immediately started playing when he came out. So they figure out a way to contain the thing. They bring it back to the planet. It's no longer a threat. We cut back to the Guardians interrogating Hal, and he's like, "Listen, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what happened. I just knew we couldn't surrender the planet. We couldn't turn our backs. That's not really what the core was. That's not what Ab and Sur told me like the core was. So I just, essentially just drank the Green Lantern Kool-Aid and just let the ring kind of do the fighting." Anyway, he's zipping back to Earth because he's got court. Remember, he's facing some felony charges, I imagine, for felony DUI, which is not good. So he cuts to court and he pleads guilty. And then an unknown amount of time passes, and his friends are meeting him outside of the prison when he gets released. And they're like, "Hey, what's going on? Happy to have you back." There's, hug and embrace and whatnot. And they're talking about, what he's going to do for the rest of his life. He's like, "Well, I'm probably going to be end up selling hamburgers." But his friend is like, "Listen, just keep your chin up. We'll work something out." Sure enough, here he is. He's back at Ferris Air, flying aircraft. Almost said spacecraft. He's flying aircraft. He's in this test plane. It's going really fast. He's kind of losing control. They're telling him to abort. And he's like, "I'm pretty sure I can try to save this." He tosses his lantern ring and says, "This is my show." As the plane is going down, he tosses the ring out the window, which, great idea. He safely does land his plane. You see it come down, and everyone is like, "Oh my gosh, Hal is this great pilot. He did the impossible. No one thought he was going to be able to land it." Psych, he didn't land it. The plane landed, but planes don't have brakes. So it went face first into the side of this rock. And everyone's thinking there's going to be little chunks of Hal Jordan everywhere. And once the smoke starts, you can see him slowly coming out in his best X-Wing fighter outfit. And he's alive. And he's got his Green Lantern ring, and everything is A-okay. Hal survived, and now he's ready to take on Green Lantern duties. And that is the end.
And notice that this ended the way that it began, too.
You're right.
In issue 1, it started with a plane crash, but his father obviously didn't survive.
I want to point one thing out. I'm back up one issue. Might be 2, but it's really quick here. So right here, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. So you have all these, they list the credits right here. Keith Griffin, Andy, all these names right here. Everyone's got, except these last two, Kevin Dooley, Andy Heffler, and Andy Heffler.
Is that an important job they've got? Only they can do it.
Only they can do it. I just thought that was really funny,
Hell yeah.
Is that some kind of mistake? I don't know, but I saw that and thought it was pretty funny. And it's not like that on any other issue. They have titles right here. One's like an editor and one's an assistant editor or something like that.
Well, Kevin Dooley is being Kevin Dooley in this issue.
Yeah. I mean,
you're right.
Clear, Tony. I don't understand the confusion.
Yeah.
My bad.
I mean, Andy Heffler isn't being, Kevin Dooley.
That's true.
No.
That's true. I guess they can't play each other's parts.
No.
Yeah.
Has anyone tried to call this number right here, this DC Comics line? 212.
I got
whip out this. Call them. Let's get DC on the phone. Why not? Let's go for it. I'll blow it up so you can see it. 212. I just passed the thing. 212-949-6850.
We should try calling the number for The death of Robin.
Yeah, there you go. Dang it.
Hey, Fanboys Live tried because we are the greatest DC comic show on YouTube.
Yep, we tried. Yeah, if it was a 515 number, yeah, probably not. Hey, we tried to call DC Comics. We were going straight to the source to ask them these important questions.
Yep. Right.
We're a couple decades late, but we still tried.
We tried.
Yeah. Hello to J Hood Creative, who's spending time with us from his drawing board. We appreciate that. And hello to Carlito Classico, who's joined us as well.
Carlito.
How's it going, everyone?
Yeah.
Typical.
So how are we going to rate this? Let's rate the entire story now. So last week's and this week's combined, all 6 issues. What are you going to give it?
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5?
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to agree. 4 out of 5. Good story. Great story.
Yeah, I'll do 4 out of 5 as well. Now, I did 3 from just the first half last week, but I think the second half really flushes things out a little bit more. But you need the first half to have the second half.
If this is a great story. If you are interested in comics, especially DC comics, and Green Lantern is a character that you're really unfamiliar with, this is a great way.
It's a great start
to start off, not only like Green Lantern, but like powers, other Green Lanterns, who the Guardians are. Even though the power is a little bit absurd, they can't hit.
They pack a lot of information in, but they kind of pace it well. It doesn't feel like too much.
Yeah, I agree. I think they do pace it really well. It didn't feel rushed, and there wasn't too many
Sorry, go on.
Nope, it has to be you.
Okay. One of the things I think it suffers with the most is some of the silliness of the age, and one of the main things I would say is the color yellow. It's obviously a problem for Green Lantern. And I think that's why very shortly after, it was only a few years later, that we had Emerald Twilight, and they finally found a way to get rid of that weakness, because it doesn't work. It's so easy. It always becomes this obvious problem when you're writing a Green Lantern story. It's like, well, okay, there's yellow. They lose. So, but
yeah, I agree. 4 out of 5. Yeah, there's some of that campiness of the 1990s in there, but at the time, that's what people wanted. You know what I mean? So can't really blame the writers. Thought the artwork was really great. I really enjoy the early 90s, late 80s kind of style artwork.
And remember, this is the kind of the reintroduction of Green Lantern post-crisis.
Yes. So 4 out of 5. I think this goes up there with, in my opinion, classic DC stories. Just for Hal Jordan, not overall DC, but if you're talking just Hal Jordan, this has to be up there. Now you know. All right.
Knowing's half the battle.
Synthephobia Lanterns. That's what they should have been.
Yep. So let's talk about our individual channels. What's been happening, what's coming up, and a book show. Who would like to go first?
I'll bite the bullet. I'll go first. Okay. Let's see. For book show, I brought a couple of lanterns, trying to keep it. So Green Lantern #1, signed by Ethan Van Sciver. That's a pretty. The cover on this is amazing, by the way.
And kind of on par with the story we just read.
Yes, sir.
Too is a reintroduction.
It is. Then we brought a little more modernness into it. Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps #1, DC Universe Rebirth from 2016, I believe. Signed by Robert Venditti, which is pretty cool. Speaking of Green Lantern Rebirth, Green Lantern Rebirth #1. Dig the stickers. Hey, thanks. You like my new Magic Lasso one?
Oh, yeah, there it is.
We'll get there in a second. So this one's signed by Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver.
I need that one.
This is the special edition one. This is the retailer exclusive incentive variant, I think is what they're calling it. So I've seen a few of these, not in great shape, but I'm glad I have this one, and I'm glad I got the signatures on it too.
I mean,
so.
I'd prefer not to have the signatures, but go ahead and send it my way. It's cool.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm good.
I thought he was talking about my sticker.
Yeah. This variant for Green Lantern Rebirth, Robert Venditti. So that's pretty cool. And then one more variant signed by Robert Venditti. This is pretty cool. Pretty cool variant, but that's all the books I got. Plus, I got a Magic Lasso sticker and a Warlord sticker and a Russ and a Brown Lantern sticker and a Comic Vantage sticker. You know, trying to slap everybody's sticker on here that sends me one. But what's coming up on my channel? Probably just a whole lot of shorts, to be honest with you. I'm saving the big stuff until after Baltimore Comic-Con, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be exciting, and it's going to be moving pretty fast. So trying to get Lasso's book signed.
Yeah, I got my book to him finally.
You did.
So.
I got it, so now there's no excuse.
Yep. Hello to ME Comics. How you doing?
Hey, when are you guys doing a Hawkman story? You're right, Paul. You're right. When are we doing a Hawkman story?
Yeah,
when do you do a Hawkman story?
We need to be doing that.
Probably around Thanksgiving, to be honest with you.
Okay,
Thanksgiving
what's
special.
going on?
Well, I thought I was getting a little worried. I thought Tony was going to steal my book show, but he showed every #1 except for the one that I've got here tonight. So from June of 1990, I've got Green Lantern #1. And if you happen to see at the end of the last page, it actually said like 1 month from now, the first new issue. So what we just read, Emerald Dawn, basically kicked off this new volume of Green Lantern here. I guess this would be volume 3. Yeah, 3. So kind of ties in with the story we just read. And again, it's that volume. I want to say it was like it was issue 46, which was the Reign of the Supermen tie-in of that volume, where it led into Emerald Twilight, and we lost the vulnerability to Yellow, and we lost Hal Jordan to Parallax too, and got Kyle Rayner. But on my channel, I've got another Building a Mystery coming up on Tuesday. That should be an interesting one because we've had our first little setback here, and we're gonna have to figure out what to do about it. So it should be a fun episode. But other than that, I think that's all I've got going on right now.
Okay, cool. So for my book show, you talked about how you were worried that Tony was going to steal your book. This is the first one I grabbed, and I said, because this is such an amazing cover.
It is. It truly is.
You know what? I said, one of these hot dogs is going to show this book, so I better get a backup book ready.
Okay.
So I did. And this one hasn't been shown. And this is one of my favorites. It's not all that old of a book, but Nicola Scott.
Oh, ooh, nice.
So
is that the 80th anniversary? Yeah, it is. Okay.
The 80th anniversary. And Nicola Scott actually did a series of these books she did a Superman, a Batman, a Wonder Woman one that were all exclusives for a comic store in Australia. Now, this one was available in the US just as a regular, like a D cover, the variant D cover. But and she also did a print of Dick Grayson Robin that never became a cover, unfortunately, but it's in the same style as this. But I love this.
That is nice. That is real nice.
And as for my channel, so I released a cover by video this past Friday. I released a comic book editions video this past week as well. This upcoming week, tomorrow, I'm dropping a YouTube short for the back issue of the week. This past week, I did a Bronze Age, like mid 70s Bronze Age DC title, and it got a lot of views. I was really happy with it. I have another DC book pretty much from the same year as the back issue of the week being featured tomorrow with a very special guest star. in the comic book that's being featured. So that's cool. And then coming up on Tuesday, I'm not actually going to do a comic book editions video this week. I'm going to do one of my Meanwhile videos. And Meanwhile, the first one that I did is when I announced that I had taken a job as a store manager at a comic book store. This Meanwhile video is other big life news that ties in with comic books. So something has happened that I can finally talk about. And I've been given the go-ahead, and on Tuesday I can finally talk about this. And I have like not spoken about this with anybody like in my life. So I've been holding on to this news for about 6 months, and I am so excited to finally be able to share this. And Tuesday afternoon, I share it.
Something big in your life that's also comic book related.
It is.
I feel like, your new career, I feel like it, like that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like that's what's better than running a shop. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that's not, as easy as it sounds, but
it isn't. But
maybe it's that his good friend is getting to play role of Harley Quinn in the next DCEU.
Well, it ain't going to be this friend, I'll tell you what.
I wish for anytime she wants to, she can.
Oh man, that'd be cool. That would be really cool. Oh man,
bring Gal with you.
I got to check it out now. I'm curious.
Yeah, for sure. So that will be coming up. And once again, links to everybody's YouTube channel is in the description for this video. So please sub everyone up. Everyone that's in the chat too. If you see someone in the chat that you aren't sub to, go check out their content too, because that's how we keep this community amazing. It's by, the encouragement and support that we show one another and the kindness.
Yes, absolutely right.
So that brings us to an end of Fanboys Live and the Retro Review, unless either one of you have something else to say. Coming up on Feature Fanboys, next week we'll be on Comic Food 2814's channel. In the future, we'll have a Tony Fett pick for the Retro Review. In the future, we'll have a pick from myself for the Retro Review. We will have a Black Adam themed Retro Review this month, and we'll have a Halloween themed Retro Review this month. So it's a great October of Retro Reviews in store for you. Thanks for spending your Sunday again with the greatest DC Comics show on YouTube, and have a fantastic rest of your evening. I see you, Ben Compton. Have a good night.